Hey everybody, it's Rider Club Radio, the internet's okayest podcast about Kamen Rider. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Liam, and what's the superlative for being right in the middle? Most middleist?
Mediocre?
Mediocreist podcast?
Mediocreist. We're decent.
We're okay. That's our claim to fame.
We're the only Kamen Rider podcast that doesn't completely devolve into being a Star Trek podcast, I hear.
That's right. Somebody on Twitter was talking about... It was Gigabeetle, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It's just turned
So if this is... Gigabeetle, if you're listening and this is your first episode listening to this, bye!
We'll be talking about the next generation this week, and then on to Voyager.
Okay, this week we watched Kamen Rider Ex-Aid, episode 41.
And we also watched Choujin...
Yes.
No, it's 42. And we also watched...
Shit!
We also watched Choujin Sentai Jetman, episodes 7 and 8.
Yeah, so if you haven't watched those episodes of Jetman, shut this shit down, go watch it, come back.
Unless you're never planning on watching Jetman, and in which case, just experience it through us.
I guess. If you're doing that, I don't know what's wrong with you, but
You
I appreciate you listening.
It's pretty good as far as Sentai goes. It's not bad.
Yeah, Liam has like a bias against Sentai. He just fucking like...
I'm not a Sentai
in his heart
dude.
of hearts.
It's not a Sentai guy.
But you loved Jew Ranger, and you liked Sun Vulcan a lot, and you're liking this.
And I love Zyuohger.
Maybe you are a Sentai guy.
Maybe I'm just a very selective Sentai guy.
Maybe you're a snobbish bitch.
Like, I'll finish a bad Rider series, but I won't finish a bad Sentai series.
That's true. I feel like I have to, though, is the thing.
I'm
because
totally...
I do a podcast. Anyway.
Okay, whatever. X-Aid.
What happened on X-Aid this week, Liam? Give us the recap.
This week on X-Aid. So Gamdius appears last week, and his appearance, he spreads the Gamdius virus all over the world. Everybody gets sick. Everyone's like, oh shit.
In Japan,
sorry. He spreads it
all
all
over the
Japan.
World of Japan.
All over the Kamen Rider world, which is just Japan. Just Tokyo, really. And
really?
Emu and Parrot are trying to fight him. They try and fight him in the park, and they just can't beat him. Even in the final form, they can't touch this guy. So back at the pit, Laser and Dan are hanging out, Kiria and Dan, and Kiria says, Dan, there's one way we can fix this. And Dan's like, what? And Kiria's like, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you. And they go to the underground parking garage.
He doesn't explain shit to him.
He really doesn't.
Killing him over and over first with the Gamdius virus.
He takes him to an underground parking garage and just blasts him with horrible virus particles and gets him so sick and kills him 36,000 times. And then finally, like, Dan's like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, oh, it's because, what's his name? Graphite was able to adapt to the Gamdius virus. So maybe if one of us can do it, we can make a vaccine out of that. So here's this blank Gashat, and let's just keep beating the shit out of each other. So they do it, and do it, and do it.
Let's just beat the shit out of each other and hope something happens with this blank Gashat. I didn't really think this plan through all that well.
Not sure where the fighting comes in, but we got some time to kill, so let's just fight.
Yeah, that's a good question, now that I think about it. Like, how did that help them become immune to the virus?
Like, if he just sat Dan down and said, look, Dan, you have 99 lives, just take this virus and see if we can come up with some antibodies. And Dan would say, yeah, that's just crazy enough, that's my kind of style. But instead he's like, Dan, I'm gonna... And he knees him in the face, and he punches his teeth out, and he kicks him in the balls, and he...
It was just therapy, really. It was like couples therapy.
It was, it was Laser getting all of his feelings out. He's still a little raw towards Dan, and he wanted an excuse to beat the shit out of him. So he took him.
I gotta say that if someone murdered me, I'd probably have a little bit of ill will towards them.
Yeah, I mean, the bad feelings wouldn't just go away overnight, truly.
Maybe if you killed him, how many times was it?
I don't know how many we started with.
80 sometimes?
Roughly 80. 80
killed
70,
him?
yeah.
You'll feel better about it.
That's the revenge ratio, 1 to 80. So he kills him.
Fucking Dan is paper thin, dude. Like, he dies so easy.
Yeah, it's 1-on-1, and Kiria wins 80 times. That's how this fight goes.
Kiria gets knocked out of his form once. Mm-hmm. Dan dies 80 times.
So who's the real winner?
No doubt. Dan's apparently really shitty at being a Kamen Rider.
He's lost his edge since he stopped being a villain. So they get the cure, and while all this is happening, Nico and Sniper helping out. And Asuna's like, Nico, you're pretty good. And Nico's like playing video games with the kid to keep him steady. because everyone's so sick and there's just not enough rooms, and Hiro can't deal with it. And it cuts back now to the underground parking garage, and finally they get the cure. They put it in this Geshette, Dr. Mighty Double X, it's called. And Kiria says, "Thanks, Dan." Bloop puts him into the bug visor, and hands it over to the police, who are banging down the door. And they're like, "Yeah, we need Dan. It's time to finally prosecute him." He says, "Here he is, boys. Dan Masamune." So they take him away in the bug visor.
Dan Kuroto.
Did I say Dan Masamune?
Yeah.
Dan Kuroto. My bad. That would have been a short show.
Just put him in the bug visor.
Just laser catches him in a bug visor. The end.
Why didn't we think of doing that before?
Tune in for Build next week. So Dan Kuroto gets handed over to the Ministry of Health, and Kiria gives the cure to Emu. Emu uses the cure, spreads over all of Japan, and cures everyone. And just as Gamdeus is dying, Masamune's like, "No, this can't be happening. I can't lose Gamdeus. I'd rather die." So he runs out to the field and he absorbs Gamdeus into himself. And Gamdeus takes him over and says, "Yeah, I'm Gamdeus, and I also have Cronus' powers too." And he leaves. He just sort of fucks off.
He fuses with him.
Yeah, and they both ditch. And Dan is returned. Everyone's safe. Dan is returned to the CR, but he's not allowed to leave his computer without express permission from the Ministry of Health.
And Kiria gets a white coat.
And he is obsessed with calling himself God, even more than usual.
Yes.
Jeff, what did you think of Kamen Rider X-Aid episode 42?
First off, I think it's interesting that I was watching the RTA subs. And if in case I'm maybe misremembering, but I feel like every time someone mentioned Gamdeus up until now, it was Gemdeus. Like Genmu.
I don't know.
I might be misremembering that.
Based on our schedule, some weeks we watch RTA and some weeks we watch X-Aid. So it's really muddled. Some of the translations are RTA calls him Peredo, but we're just used to calling him Perid because that's what X-Aid calls him. And Gamdeus and Genmedeus and Gamedeus, and I can't keep those three straight.
I think Gemdeus is Excite's thing, maybe, but I don't know. I feel like RTA was too, but there's a computer screen that says Gamedeus.
Gamedeus, and in this RTA episode, they call him Gamedeus in the subs. So maybe that's what tipped him over. Maybe they changed this because of that. I thought
it was really funny though, because I was watching and it just said Gamedeus, and I went, "What?
Hang on a second."
Have I been saying his name wrong this whole time?
Are we dumb?
No, I couldn't have said his name wrong even once because someone would have written into us immediately. So I guess I'm going to start calling him Gamedeus. I actually like that. I will say this.
Because he's Game
because
God.
him being Gemdeus made it there's Genmu and Genmu Corporation and Gemdeus. Too much Gem. Too many Gems.
Now he's Gamedeus. Game God.
Which is fitting.
Yeah.
The episode itself was alright.
I felt like I had a problem. I had a couple problems with this episode. Firstly, we've already voiced it. Why does Laser have to fight Dan? And even after explaining to him, "Hey, I'm just trying to make some antibodies," Dan's like, "Okay, cool." And then they keep beating the shit out of each other. I was a little muddled on why the fuck they were doing that.
It's not explained to the audience. And I mean, we're always harping on show, don't tell. But if you're showing and it doesn't make any sense, you should probably tell.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit. I mean, like I said, maybe it was just catharsis. Maybe... Because clearly he's not feeling too good towards Dan. He does hand him over to the authorities right now. Maybe he just wanted an excuse to kick the shit out of him.
Maybe you had to, have physical strain or something.
That could be.
Fight back against it, but no one said anything like that. Maybe that's a medical thing.
Maybe it's the stress. The stress.
I don't know medicans.
But they used to talk a lot about how the stress would make the game virus worse, the game bio.
That's true.
But they haven't talked about that in a while, but maybe that's what he's trying to go for. He's trying to stress Dan out to make it progress faster.
Maybe we were the dumb ones.
Maybe. No, that
What's your other problem?
I feel like, so there's this, they introduced this really good ticking clock in this episode, this really high stakes of everybody is sick, the world is going to shit, and we have to beat Gamedeus. But they solve it this episode instead of in the last episode where I think they should have solved it. That should be...
The problem I constantly harp on
in
X-Aid?
everybody getting sick should have been the stakes of the climactic showdown. Is if you don't win here, everyone in Japan is gonna die of this illness, and it'll spread all over the world. The world's fucked. You gotta beat this guy now. But instead, it's like, we fixed the illness. There's this guy who's kind of bad running around, and he's gonna do something evil, maybe, if we don't stop him.
I mean, he might create the same exact situation next episode, for all we know.
But then what the fuck was the point of having this whole cure sequence in the first place?
There wasn't a point at all.
Okay.
I mean, even if he comes up with some completely different plan that doesn't involve getting everyone in Japan sick, these stakes were set just for this episode, and they don't serve any purpose before or after it.
Yeah.
There's no consequences for the terrible decision-making that went into summoning him.
Nope. Because they fixed it right away.
They fixed it right away.
That just felt really cheap. It felt like very cheap storytelling. Which I guess is part and parcel with Kamen Rider. Even the best Kamen Rider shows have some instances of cheap storytelling. But I don't like it, god damn it.
I'm not a big fan.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the episode's okay. I have pretty much the same problems you do with it. I also have a problem with, like, Dan Masamune is suddenly just Laughing Man.
Yeah, he's a little flanderized. He's a little silly.
Like, he was always kind of a ridiculous character, since his goal was to kill people so his game would do really well.
Yeah.
And he doesn't seem like he really cares about money or anything. If that was his end goal, I would understand it a little bit more. But now his end goal just seems to be taking over the world.
As much as I love the man's smile, he's kind of a lame villain.
He has the weirdest smile.
I love it.
Like, I thought Parrod's smile was weird, but this dude trumps him.
He literally says in this episode, he's like, God, Gemdeus is gonna do some shit, and then I'm gonna rule the world. So that's it? He just wants to rule the world?
I guess.
At least, I wish they would provide some, like, a flash into his past to say why he's such a dick.
Yeah, like, why is he the way he is? Like, you have little Kuroto, like, being obsessed with being the best, and Emu outdoes him, so he fucking goes off the deep end, right?
Yeah.
To try to prove he's the best. It's silly, but at least he has some sort of motivation behind his character. Like, what the fuck is Masamune's motivation?
He's got to rule the world.
He wants to rule the world, I guess.
That's just. It's not something a person would want to do without some kind of justification. I feel like, even if it's just some crazy philosophy of like, this world is, I want it to be like a video game or something weird like that. I would even accept that. But they give us nothing.
I don't know. There's a ridiculous enjoyment of that type of character that just wants to take over the world, like a Doctor Doom or something that's like over the top and larger than life. But even Doctor Doom has a backstory, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Masamune has nothing.
Yeah, he's a little dry.
And that is probably my biggest problem with him actually turning out to be the final villain. Like, I don't know. I feel like it happened the same way in Drive, where the villains for the whole series are set up to be the Roidmudes, and then they don't fucking matter whatsoever at the end, and it turns out the villain's just a guy.
Yeah, and you have these characters that have been built over the course of the show, and who, like, as much as I love Parrot turning good, could you imagine, like, with all that history between the two of them, if the final fight in the show was a one-on-one between Emu and Parrot? If it came down to that showdown, that would be incredible. It would have been
building up the entire series.
Yeah, and it would have felt like it would have had a lot more punch because of that. But a lot of Rider shows have this tendency to be like, here's this... We talked about it last week, the big blah at the end. Blah! This guy. It
doesn't matter. It's just, we have to end the show.
It's a shame. It's a shame, because I like Ex-Aid. I like Ex-Aid a lot.
I do like Ex-Aid. My biggest problem throughout the whole series... It's not that. My biggest problem throughout the whole series is not Masamune not having a background.
Yeah.
In the end, I guess it doesn't really matter that much. But now the thing that just bugs me throughout all of Ex-Aid is what this episode and the last episode were prime examples of. They introduce a plot line that would be really fucking cool to just explore at length over a few episodes or even like the rest of the season. And they solve it the exact same episode or the very next episode.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a crying shame.
It's a good show. It really is. But if it didn't have that, it could be like a really great show.
God, this show's gonna end so soon.
It's blowing my mind how soon it's gonna end.
It's like 3 weeks left. Holy shit. 3-4 weeks, we're done.
We get 3 fights with Cronus. Actually,
Cool.
probably 2 fights with Cronus, and then Kamen Rider Jam.
Can you imagine if someone from the movie the ninja guy came back? I'm a super ninja
in the
now.
body of a woman.
In the body.
He just came back and he's like, I had to take over this woman to get into the real world.
For some reason.
Let's fight for literally 10 minutes.
I'm a super ninja now. I'm a woman ninja. 10 times stronger.
Equality. This episode, it was alright. I mean, I think I'll stick with that answer. It was alright. It's just, I feel like there's so much squandered potential here, right? Like, introducing a villain this late is a problem. You don't really have enough time to introduce anything into the character. I think I mentioned, actually, that him fusing with Masamune and taking him over would be great. And I don't know if I stand behind that anymore. I don't know. I just feel like it's a weird way to go.
Well, I think
for
it's
the final arc.
It's better than dropping Masamune for another big nothing at the end. Like,
Yeah.
I'd rather they stick with
It
Masamune.
ties in.
Yeah.
It does tie in better. I stick with what I said before. I do think it's a good move. I just feel like setting up all these high stakes and then taking them away was shitty. Like, at the end of the episode, I was waiting for everybody to get sick again.
Yeah, because he's like, oh, I'm back again. Everyone's sick ×2, and you can't solve it this time. But no.
Yeah.
No.
And for him to even be like, now your dumb Gashat doesn't hurt me anymore. Suck a dick. And that might still happen. All of this might still happen. But I'm just going off of what I've seen so far.
Yeah. Like you said.
That's a tangent I'd like to get into.
Okay.
We get a lot of messages, and I get a lot of messages on other podcasts. That doesn't matter. Don't look it up. It's called M-Class Podcast. I get a lot of little messages like, you don't know what's going to happen next, so you can't judge it. But the thing is, I'm only judging what I've seen thus far. I'm not judging what hasn't happened yet. So if I say it's dumb they didn't do this thing, and then they do it later, way to go, Toei.
Way to go. We retract our statements, and it's good in retrospect.
Exactly.
But right now, like, you watch a show weekly, right? So you do watch the episodes, and you enjoy them one at a time. So they do have their own quality in a vacuum.
Yeah. You have to judge an episode based on what's in the episode, not what may or may not happen later.
Mm-hmm.
And this episode was poopy shit. So
Perhaps
it was alright.
Perhaps it will retroactively be not so bad, but we don't know right now.
It was alright.
It was
wasn't
alright.
that bad.
It was alright.
I like X-Aid a lot. I feel like it did great things with what it had, but it did drop the ball in some places.
It has dropped the ball, but I've enjoyed it. I'd say I've enjoyed it a little more than Drive. Just a tad above Drive, I'd put it.
I will say that. I think I enjoyed it a little more than Drive.
Yeah. I liked it.
And we are two people who enjoyed Drive.
Yeah, that's true. But in case you didn't know,
if you haven't listened to any of those episodes,
we liked Drive.
You know what? I think we've said all that needs to be said about this episode of X-Aid. So why don't we get into some news?
Sure. Kamen Rider Build's theme song got a little promo of it got revealed this week of a lady screaming in your ear that you gotta be the one. Jeff, what did you think of Be the One?
I don't think it's gonna be the one, Liam.
It's definitely no anything goes. It's very poppy.
Yeah, it's very Poppy People Popo.
If you told me it was sung by Poppy People Popo, I'd believe you. It sounds like her.
I don't know. It's just not my cup of tea. I like a lot of... I think there's no genre of music that I don't like something in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not a fan of that song.
Yeah.
I don't hate it or anything.
It's...
I don't hate it like I think Therefore We Are or whatever.
I think that's a fine song. I think it's a good song.
I think Therefore It's shit.
We think, therefore Jeff sucks.
That's probably true.
Okay.
It's just, I don't like it. It's dumb. It's all I can think of is Ghost's fucking stupid smiling face every time I hear it.
I thought you were talking about Be the One again. When I hear Be the One, all I can think of is Ghost. I was gonna, Jeff, you got a little bit of a problem there. Maybe see a therapist or something.
Fucking every time I look at the Dan Rather on the TV screen, all I can think of is fucking Ghost.
Every time I close my eyes, on the back of my eyelids, Ghost.
It's black like Ghost, dark black eyes.
Didn't he have orange eyes? Or were they black on orange?
They were black on orange.
Okay, fuck me then.
You don't remember that face hasn't been fucking seared into your brain?
I'm trying
forever?
to forget really hard.
Yeah. Anyway, the song just doesn't really appeal to me too much. What do you think, Liam?
I'm gonna agree. I just don't like it that much.
Yeah. I like Ex-Aid's theme a lot. So it's like a downgrade.
I'm not even a huge fan of it. Ex-Aid is okay.
I love it.
Not a fan of it. It's
I get very excited.
I loved Surprise Drive.
I do love Surprise Drive.
Surprise Drive, I think, is the best one in recent memory. But I haven't. All the ones since then have not quite measured up to Surprise Drive.
What a shame.
What a shame, truly.
We learned further build news this week, though, didn't we?
It's mostly build news. Actually, it's all build news. The character bios got revealed on Build this week. And it's gonna turn out that Build, the main character, he's a genius physicist, but he's lost his memory, and he collapsed in front of a cafe, so the cafe owner, who's a guy named Soichi, drags him into his basement and says, "You can live here in my basement with my daughter."
A guy named Shoichi?
No, his name is Soichi.
Shoichi Sugami?
Nope. But I find it funny that there's a guy named Soichi who's involved with amnesia, just like Shoichi.
And he takes him in.
He takes him in and lets him live in his basement with his daughter.
Yeah, it's very Agito.
It's a little it's got that weird Kamen Rider living situation, but there's an explanation for it. It's not just like they live in the pit for no reason.
They all live in an apartment together, even though two of them hate each other's guts, and one of them tried to rape the other one.
Are you talking about Ryuki again?
No, I'm talking about Faiz.
Right, nobody
Who tried to rape somebody on Ryuki?
No, I was thinking of the time when Knight had sex with Yui in front of his comatose girlfriend. That was not rape, but
that was not rape. It was rude.
Yeah,
it was very rude.
Extremely rude.
She was unconscious though, so I guess.
Still, man, in the room,
it's fucked up. It's fucked up. I don't condone it. I don't condone anything Knight does.
Jeff, have you done this before?
No,
okay.
I really haven't.
Okay,
I would never have a girlfriend.
I have dignity. I would never touch a female. So there's a weird Kamen Rider living situation. There's a journalist in the story who's like, she finds out Build has a secret identity, which I like. His identity is a secret. And the police of the Toto region are like, this guy, we gotta find out his identity, but it's a secret. And he works for the physics department of the government to try and solve the mystery of Pandora's box. Build does. So it's looking like an interesting setup. I like it.
The secondary rider's name is Banjo.
His name is, what's his first name again?
His name is Ryuga Banjo.
Ryuga Banjo Kazooie. And it's
his name is Banjo.
It's the guy that we called the Banjo. The guy from Amazon Season 2 that we called, we referred to him as Yamato because he looks kind of like Yamato.
You referred to him as
Yamato. I referred to him as Yamato. The guy from Amazon Season 2.
You refer to him as Banjo.
Who is now Banjo.
Banjo!
Who is, I assume, the secondary rider, but he's like an escaped prisoner who was wrongfully convicted, and he's a fighter.
He wasn't wrongfully convicted. Look at that motherfucker.
He claims to be wrongfully convicted.
He was rightfully convicted.
What I really like, though, is they're very different. Like, you have Build, who looks like this total dork, and he's like a nerdy scientist. And then you have this guy who's like a hardened, escaped con. I think they're going to make a very fun couple.
Here's the problem with that, right?
What?
Is the guy that plays Build looks kind of like a dick, like a self-absorbed dick, and the guy that plays Banjo looks terrified of the camera that's facing him.
Because he's going to fight it. In the picture, he's going to fight the camera. What are you pointing that thing at me for? I'll beat you up.
He's so afraid of that camera. Turn it off.
It's in my eyes. Speaking of people looking like dicks, I met this dude. This is rider related. I'll bring it around.
Okay, it'll come back around to it, everybody.
I met this dude at a party, right? A friend of mine introduced me to him, and I saw him, and the moment I saw his face, I was like, that guy looks like a prick. And I met him, and he turned out to be really nice.
That man, John Toei.
I met him, and it turned out he was a really nice guy. He was really nice, but like all night after I was talking to him, my brain kept going back like, why did I think he was an asshole? And I thought really hard, I racked my brain, and I realized it's because he looks a little bit like Tendo Soji. His eyes, he has the same eyes, and his mouth is sort of the same, and I was like, oh my god. I labeled him as
thought he was Tendo.
My brain went to Tendo.
You were a racist, and you thought all Asian people look alike.
He's not even Asian. He looks like a white guy Tendo Soji. And I was
shit, I'm the racist. I just assumed he was Asian.
Nope. I was like, this guy looks like a dick.
Oh, God.
I just thought
I was the one.
I just thought he was a dick because he looked a little bit like Tendo.
Jeez. I think we all learned a valuable lesson today.
Yeah.
Is that don't jump to calling somebody else a racist first, because you'll be the one that ends up being a racist.
They will always reverse it on you. Every time.
Flip that shit.
Sure did.
Hey, you can't say that one. That's from the other thing.
How many people listening to this are gonna get that, though?
There are some people that listen to M-Class Podcast, now available on iTunes.
Along with Rider Club Radio, now available on WordPress. They also released some belt details for the DX belt, and the only thing I really wanted, it's nothing really crazy, but the only thing I really wanted to talk about is in the trailer for Build that you can see at the end of this week's Ex-Aid episode, he pulls out the full bottles, and it seems like they have actual liquid in them. And I'm deathly curious to see if the DX toys also have actual, like, dyed water in them. Because usually they don't fuck with liquid over at Bandai. When they did the soda drivers, the Genesis drivers.
There's not going to be any liquid in it.
You think, though? Because, like, people sell, like, Magic 8 Balls or, like, cheap plastic toys, and they got liquid in them.
Yeah, I just don't think there's going to be any liquid in them. That, like, involves a machine that'll, like, fill the bottle and then seal it and shit. I don't think they're going to do that.
That'll be very difficult on the child slaves that work at Bandai, so... I don't know if they can handle it.
This man's just telling truths on this podcast right now. You can't tell the truth about John Toei sweatshops.
It's actually not children. It's actually like 90-year-old women. The people that's Saban. Yeah, sorry.
They're not Saban. Bandai. Fucking. I'm just blaming everything on Chaim Saban these days.
It's easy to do.
Fucking Bandai. Richard Bandai.
Richard Bandai.
Old Dick Bandai.
Oh boy. Yeah, but I wonder if they're gonna have liquid. Jeff says no. I say maybe.
I just don't think so.
I'll stake
if
my
they
honor.
do, I will be very happy for you. I'm not going to buy you one. I hope you'll be very happy together.
Get me a bunny one or a...
Those only come with the belt and you know.
Probably, yeah. I wonder what the coolest one is going to be.
I don't know. Rabbit Tank form is so fucking cool.
So cool looking. And even Gorilla Diamond looks pretty neat.
Yeah, it does. It's got kind of a dumb eyeball thing going on, but it's really cool looking otherwise. I love that the shoulder pad is just a big diamond.
The big, stud of a diamond. I like, on the bottles, on each individual one, it tells you on the top little nub part what the best match is. So if you have Rabbit Tank, it'll say at the top, or if you have just Rabbit, for example, if for some reason you don't know that Tank is the match, it says at the top RT. So you know it's Rabbit and Tank. Same as on a Tank one, it says RT at the top. So it's like, this is the one that goes with... You can mix and match them with any of them, but the best match is Tank.
Only the best match gives you sound effects. So.
Like unique sound effects, yeah.
Is there any more news?
Yes. There was a more detailed plot synopsis of Kamen Rider Build that was released.
What did it say?
There's not much here that we already don't know, but apparently... Bill does remember, like in his past, the one thing he remembers is Night Rogue. The translation that TokuNet uses is Night Rogue, not Night Rogue, but
But Night Rogue is so much better.
Night Rogue sounds cool. The one that they're going with right now is Knight space Rogue, Night Rogue. I don't know what the final one is going to be. I don't know what the subgroup that picks it up is going to use. It's all up in the air. But he remembers, he's like, oh, what's this Night Rogue guy? Who is he? I don't know. But he, like, remembers him from his past somehow. That's what we know from that. So all that shit's gonna be in the blog post. Check it out.
Today I learned something. That nothing cool can ever fucking stay. You can't just call it Night Rogue.
That's life, Jeff. Nothing is beautiful because it lasts.
Fuck. That's deep. Alright, so that's all the news we have,
That's
right?
all the news. Are you ready to talk about Gotcha Man?
Yes. Let's talk about Bird Brigade.
The Bird Brigade. This week on Bird Brigade, Ryu almost gets married, and then a diamond seduces everybody's minds.
Ryu's grandma is a giant badass.
So Ryu's grandma comes and is like, "You gotta get married, Ryu. I have a lady all picked out for you." And Ryu's like,
I need some descendants.
I need great grandkids," which seems like not many people in their life would be like super desperate to get those.
She's gonna die any second.
I guess.
She has an adult grandchild.
She's, you better fucking. I guess he's 26, turning 27 soon.
Yeah.
He's like, you better get married this year and also have kids this year to this girl you don't know. And he says, well, no. They conspire to break up the marriage, which is hilarious.
It is actually a really funny scene.
There's a good scene when Yellow pretends to be like a loan shark. And he's like, give me that 10 million yen you owe me, you fuck. And then at the same time...
Like, I need more time.
At the same time, the white swan comes in. Reiko?
Kaori.
Why did I call her Reiko? Kaori comes in.
I know she's Kaori because somebody on YouTube said, fuck you, Kaori's beautiful. And she is. She's a very lovely lady.
You know what it is her smile in the intro is weird.
Yes.
That's the only thing.
That is exactly what it is.
Like, in any other context, she looks fine, but in that intro smile with the freeze frame, she just has a strange smile. She comes in and is like, Ryu! Very, like, flashy, gaudy clothes. And she's like, Ryu, you said you were gonna marry me. Who's this girl? And it's a very funny scene where, like, everyone's, like, acting way out of character. I liked it.
I liked it too. There's the thing. Out of these two episodes, this episode is clearly the better episode.
Yes, for sure.
Has a lot of fun characterization. Like, the enemy is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
He, like, preys on people's vanity by sucking them into a mirror dimension where they're doomed to wander for eternity. That's terrifying.
Yeah, he hides in mirrors and yanks you in.
And the next episode afterwards is actually kind of shitty.
Sorry?
Did I hear that?
Did you hear what?
What was that?
What was that? What? Sorry, what were you saying about the next episode after?
I guess that isn't really strange. I hear that all the time.
Just in your head, yeah.
Just in the distance. Tatakai. It's a good thing I don't understand Japanese.
Good thing it's not a bad thing.
The second episode is, like, kind of shitty. It's like, it is the most stereotypical episode about how women love diamonds.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense. I feel like there's some sort of a trope or an idea in Japanese culture that I don't get, because the Blue Ranger, like, snaps out of her diamond-induced hysteria by having diamonds poured all over her.
Here's what I think. I'm pretty sure it was Kaori. I was going to call her Reiko again. Kaori.
Her name is not Reiko.
I don't know why my brain keeps going there, but Kaori is paying her to snap her out, like using... Because you know the Blue Ranger is super greedy, right? She wants to get paid $100,000. So she's like, you're so greedy.
Money.
I'll give you like $1 billion worth of gems to shake off this mind control, and it works because she's so horribly greedy.
I guess.
Which I thought was funny. I got a kick out of that scene.
Funny. I guess I just didn't understand it. I guess I was too stupid.
It took me a minute. Like it took me until the very end when she's like, "Hey, you promised me all those gems," and I was like, "Oh, she was paying her." She was playing on her greed and paying her to snap out. I think to snap out of it.
That shit don't fly in 2017, Toei. I was just the whole episode was kind of boring. On top of having like a lame plot and being weird.
It definitely wasn't as exciting.
I didn't really like it that much, but I do really like the show.
Yeah. But the diamond heist episode, I feel like there were times when it was. I know it wasn't, but the fact that there was a diamond called the Blood Diamond that forced people to kill each other over it was like felt like it was supposed to be like really heavy-handed political commentary.
This is a little early for that.
Africa. And I was like, wait a second, this is Japan, first of all, a show for 8-year-olds, and way too early for anyone to care.
Diamond.
But like that coincidence was just too nuts for me. It reminded me of Blood Diamonds.
Man, they got real topical in Japan in 1992 or whenever the fuck this came out.
91. Thank you.
91. I'm
Jetman,
sorry.
Jetman tackles the big topics. I hear the next one is going to be about the draft.
The draft?
Yeah.
In what country?
In Japan in 1991. Don't you remember?
I didn't live there, so
I really want
thankfully.
I really, really want to have an episode that's like an allegory for the fucking American Civil War or something, or like an allegory for fascism or something, like where it just gets super political out of nowhere and then never again.
That was this episode.
That was this episode about blood diamonds.
It got really political about blood diamonds and African apartheid.
And then never again. So see, really, the diamond episode was the best one because it had the most meat on it. It had
the most meaning behind it. And as we
episode.
all know, having a hidden meaning is what makes something good.
Instantly, yeah. If you have a message, it's topically good. Especially if it's one I agree with.
It has to be good. If it's not good, then you just didn't get the message.
But the mirror episode was a lot more exciting, and I liked the ending where the granny jumps out and mirrors the mirror back at the mirror to beat it.
And the mirror doesn't mirror back again for some reason.
Well, she mirrors it back at the fucking Rie. And it puts her into the mirror, and then the mirror's like, fuck, I gotta spit everybody out.
Her name's Maria.
Is her new name Maria? Because it was Rie before. The only bad guy name I remember is Radige, because it's such a crazy name.
Yeah. What's the robot's name?
I just told you I don't remember.
The robot who loves fucking smoking and drinking.
The robot. He's the robot.
He is the coolest.
The guy that
he smokes and he drinks, and he doesn't even have a mouth.
Fucking cigar. Yeah.
How does he do any of that without a mouth?
He does it because he gets no pleasure out of it, but he also knows that he'll never get lung cancer, so he just smokes cigars like 3 a day.
Take that, filthy human.
Bet you wish you could do this shit, and he
blows smoke right in Jetman's faces. God, I love this show, though. I will say that
it's a very good show.
I get such a kick out of watching it. There's like I hate to say this, being the co-host of a tokusatsu podcast, but I get like toku fatigue when I'm watching through like multiple episodes of something.
Mm-hmm.
And I have not gotten that yet with Jetman.
It's a very good show, and it's because all the characters have really unique personalities. Like they're
personalities
really...
I didn't expect to see in a tokusatsu series.
Like some of them, the Blue Ranger has some genuinely bad traits. Really,
yeah.
And obviously the black.
She is a greedy, foul-mouthed little girl.
Guy is a constant shithead. He's jealous and an asshole.
Yeah, he is a genuine piece of shit. Like you don't get main characters on a team show who are genuine pieces of shit very often.
Yeah, like when Ryu is gonna get married, guy's like, "Yeah, get married. Fuck off the team. I don't want you here anymore."
Now I'm the leader.
As if that position would instantly shift to him.
What is the yellow guy's name?
Never gonna remember.
I caught you off guard.
Nope.
Yellow guy being just like a simple farmer.
He does not fit in at all.
He's like a huge dork.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I love him.
He's a simple man.
I just love that they're all thrown into this crazy... Like, Kaori being like a super rich, spoiled lady in waiting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's all these like really... It's all these personalities that like really clash. And that's practically the whole show. Like, the monsters, I'd say, take a back seat to watching these people fuck with each other all day.
The only, like, stock Toku character is probably Ryu.
Ryu is the hero.
who is in over his head because his entire team is made up of weirdos, though.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's necessary if all 5 of them were weirdos.
Yeah, you gotta have a guy who's reasonable, who can be the straight man.
He's got to be the straight man to everybody else's nonsense.
Yeah.
And I like that they're differentiating the commander that way by making her like a giant hard ass that doesn't care about anybody's problems.
Yeah, because she has to be. World's at stake.
She's the only one that seems to pay attention to any of that.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like Ryu's too busy trying to dodge getting married and shit.
It's got an all-star cast, Jetman. I love it.
It's a really good show. Anyway, why don't we talk about some emails?
Alright, let's talk about some emails.
Our first email is from Paris.
All the way from Paris?
Hello, Jeff. Your only fan here.
Oh.
Also, Liam, mustard is the shit and night sucks.
Mustard is shit, period.
Mustard's so good.
Mustard is awful.
It's so fucking delicious. I had a conversation with somebody else that doesn't like mustard the other day, and they changed their mind because they realized they were being stupid.
I don't believe you.
It happened.
I don't believe that happened.
I brought out some mustard, and they were like, "Ooh, I hate it." And I was like, "Well, actually, you're being fucking dumb." And they were like, "Okay." And they tasted it, and they were like, "Holy shit, that's so good. You're right."
You're a big, fat liar.
No, it's what happens.
Okay, sure.
So here are some questions. 1, if you could switch one movie writer and one final villain for any Rider series, who would it be?
Oh, so to have the final villain of the show be the movie writer?
Yeah. That's a difficult proposition.
I would switch... Oh, God.
You know what?
What?
I would switch the final villain of Double, which is kind of a weird spoiler, I guess, even though it doesn't fucking matter whatsoever.
Mm-hmm. I know what it is, but yeah, don't say it.
I would switch him with Eternal, Kamen Rider Eternal.
Oh, yeah.
Because that is a much cooler story.
Yeah.
What about you?
Ooh, I'm trying to think of a writer whose final fight I hated. I would switch.
You can switch Kamen Rider Jam with his actual version, whatever the fuck his name was. Kamen Rider Apple.
Switch Kamen Rider Jam with no one. I'd switch, I'd switch Gold Drive with Dark Drive. Oh,
yeah,
but then you wouldn't have the dad. Still have the dad
in. That's the problem.
I'd keep the dad in there, but not have him become Gold Drive. Have Dark Drive in there, maybe they team up or something. But I like
you're switching them.
Yeah. Oh, you're switching them. Okay, fuck,
yeah,
I can't do that.
so Gold Drive becomes the movie villain.
I would replace...
Which makes more sense, because Mach would be the secondary writer getting his story in the movie.
Yeah, he would get his Gaiden. Yeah. I'm going to stick with that answer, then.
That's a good one. What was your other answer going to be?
I was going to say replace the final King Orphanok with Leo.
Yeah.
At least the ending would be funny, then. And have him actually die. Man, fuck Fize's ending. Jesus Christ.
Fize is a beautiful masterpiece.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Who thought it was a good idea to watch it on a program, Liam?
It was a good show for the first half.
It was okay.
It was really good.
Question 2: am I more of a fan than Jake the Snake? Yes. Aw, thanks.
Sure.
We're not keeping like rankings of you people.
Yeah. Let me just shuffle some papers around and.
We'll pencil you in at number 1.
Maybe I could squeeze you in for breakfast, and we'll talk about you and Jake the Snake.
Look, Jake the Snake labeled himself. You guys are gonna have to fight to the death for that one.
That's true. This is between you two.
Question 3: Liam, shut the hell up. I am a bigger fan.
You.
This man or woman? I'm not gonna. I don't know.
Every citizen of Paris
is not a big fan of Liam.
I agreed with you.
You know what? I'm a big fan of Liam, so...
Thank you.
If you like me, you should like him.
Thank you. Any friend of mine is also... Any friend of... If you're a fan of Jeff, you have to like me.
Any friend of mine is a friend of mine.
Or so they say.
Question 4. Everyone thinks Build has wacky combos and bottles, but remember when one of Forze's switches was a fucking refrigerator and just an average hand? That's not a question. Paris.
I didn't see Forze, but I know he had some pretty nuts switches.
Okay, an actual question. 5. You guys get to pick any couple of riders to become a Defenders. Defenders from Marvel, if you don't know.
I know.
2 sets, one of only Ex-Aid riders, and one of any riders. There are 4 main Ex-Aid riders, though. Does that take care of it?
What if you want to have the ninja in there?
Why would you want that?
Yeah, you're right. Just the 4 Ex-Aid riders. Fuck them.
So, what are your group of any riders to make a Defenders team?
Oh, God. Kuga.
Okay.
Tendo Soji.
Okay.
Drive. And Black.
That's an eclectic team.
Yeah, I tried to pick people who would hate each other.
I'm gonna pick, for similar reasons, I'm gonna pick Decade.
Oh. The power play.
Gatak.
Oh.
Agito. And for the voice of reason in the group, I'm going to pick Hibiki.
That would be fucking... Can you imagine all those idiots trying to get along with Decade?
Just, I could only imagine, like, Kagami is used to dealing with Tendo, but then he deals with fucking Decade, who's, like, arguably worse. Because he actually just goes off and becomes an asshole villain sometimes randomly for no reason.
Just sometimes. You think Kagami and Agito might get along, but probably Agito pulls so much bullshit. Like
Kagami would get, like, super fucking frustrated with him.
I remember there was an episode of Agito where he gets poisoned and he's going to die in 24 hours. But it's Mana's birthday, so I got a big cake. And there's a bit where he's like, G3's like, dude, you're going to die in literally 4 hours if you got stung when you say you got stung. And he's like, I got to bake this cake, dude. You want to help? I need a helper.
It's her birthday, man. She's got to have a cake. That would pretty much be the exact same situation.
Yeah, that'd be a good show.
Have a good day. Number 1 paradox person named Paris. Okay. I will give you that title.
Okay.
That's fine.
Any other paradox Paris people show themselves?
Step up. Our next email is from friend of the show, Graham.
Oh.
Who says, has anyone bugged you to watch Ultraman Geed yet? I feel like the tradition of being asked to watch Ultraman and never watching it should continue.
Every year, the new Ultraman starts, and someone says, you should watch Ultraman, and we'll go, one of these days.
One of these days we will, maybe.
And then we never watch Ultraman.
We'll think about it. So, Graham, we'll think about watching
Ultraman. We'll put that on the roster.
Wink! Oh, look, our next email's from Jake the Snake.
Is it about Ultraman?
No.
Okay.
He says, hey guys, I feel like this was an episode that would have worked better as a 2-parter. It would have been nice to have a longer focus on the consequences of them immediately summoning the final boss without a solid plan.
Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
I think I said that in the episode.
You used basically the same words.
You're right in my head, Jake the Snake.
See, stealing your thoughts.
Slithering in there. You guys called it right again with Kiria and Dan's fighting being a trick to create what is essentially the equivalent of a Dr. Mario Gashat. Did we call that?
I think we in the preview it said they were fighting, and we were like, why are they fighting? And one of us was like, it's probably a trick of some sort.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The Dr. Mario Gashat. I noticed that immediately, right?
I didn't think about that.
Like everything about X-Aid is Mario.
Yeah, Mighty is Mario.
Which
Mario
is
Brothers.
hilarious.
Yeah.
And there's a fan artist. Oh my god, what is his name? Shit, Melancholy, I think. Who did like a Mario form for X-Aid. Go look that up if you haven't. It's fucking dope.
I haven't seen that.
And anyway, the remaining lives Dan Kuroto Deus has seems fitting since the Japanese have a superstition about 4 being the number of death, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they do.
That's pretty cool. Questions. 1. Any chance you guys have heard of or watched the DC animated series Young Justice? If so, any thoughts on it?
I watched the first episode of Young Justice, and I really liked it, actually. I super enjoyed it, and then I just never got around to watching it again. I thought I like teams of superheroes. I think, well, I mean, just like Jetman, I like a team that like bounces off each other and kind of hates each other. And, like conflicts. And Young Justice had like a team that was kind of like that bounced off each other in a fun way. But I only saw one fucking episode. Maybe I hear it gets kind of weird later, but then it gets good.
I actually really like Young Justice.
Yeah,
I watched the first 2 seasons of it.
Oh yeah,
and there's like a third being made now, I think.
Yeah, I heard there's something new coming up with it.
They like brought it back or something, but. The thing about Young Justice is that the first season is sort of a clear, cohesive narrative from the first episode to the last one. And then there's a random time skip, and half the team is gone, and there's like half new people.
I saw Nightwing was in season 2.
Yeah, they tried to do too much too fast.
That's a shame.
And season 2 really fell off for me.
That's a shame.
But I fucking love season 1.
Maybe I'll check it out. How many episodes is it?
I forget, but it has one of my favorite versions of Robin in it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Robin, and I liked Kid Flash.
Yeah, I liked Kid Flash a lot as well.
I like Dickhead Speedy.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
There's some weird shit with Speedy later on, too.
Yeah?
Like, wild shit.
That
makes no... It's just silly,
I like
wild shit. But yeah, I do like it a lot. And, I don't know, maybe I should have... I never finished season 2. I only watched about half of it, so maybe I should have just finished it before I developed an opinion, but I don't know. And it always bugged me how Superman was like a weird deadbeat dad for some of the first season. He's like a deadbeat dad or whatever, but like, it would be like... It's not even like somebody comes up to you, some woman you were with back in the day, and is like, here's your son. It's like... a woman you've never met your entire life showing up and being like, here's your son and here's the DNA test to prove it. You'd be like, what?
Hang on a minute.
None of this, some of this shit don't add up.
I'll see you in Judge Judy.
Yeah. See you on the People's Court. Question 2. Which of the fights in Vento Ario did you find really cool?
Oh, there's so many good fights in Part 5. Part 5 has the best stands. I think if I had to pick a favorite fight, it would be the one with Mista, and they're on top of a van, and the guy has a stand that lets him stop anything, and then, like, tap it to build up momentum on it, and then let it go. So, like, he touches the bullet in midair, and then taps it, like, 500 times while it's frozen, and then all those taps hit it at once, and it fires back. That was fun. I like that one.
I never read Vento Ario.
Oh, dude, you should. There's a guy that has a computer, and he plugs it into women, and it forces babies into them, and then they come out and they're like stand babies.
What?
They come out into the computer and they're stand babies.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Part 5 has the best stands. The fight against White Album is fucking sick. It's just got the coolest stands.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
I do. I only read parts 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, like part of 6.
Whoa, you skipped 5?
By accident.
Okay.
And I started to read a little tiny bit of 7. I need to just go back to 5.
Yeah, start from 5 and go. It's totally worth reading. It's got some wonky writing, and Giorno isn't a great protagonist, but it's worth reading.
Yeah, I'll go back and give it a shot. Everybody knows my secret shame now. Our next email is from Don Piantas, who says, "Hey RCR, I'm so hyped for Build. It has the vibes of early Heisei, mostly Agito, Amnesia, Girl with Powers, etc. And Hiroki from Amazon's 2 is back. Spoiler, as Kamen Rider Close. Promoted. Also, it may be my Kabuto virus.
Kabuto.
It's on my brain.
You thinking about that game illness?
Also, it might be my Kabuto bias, but they have 2 actors who favor Kabuto, and one of them did a rider kick on stage. Lastly, it has a cafe, a place for normal people to hang out." Curious, did you guys hear the Life is Beautiful and Be the One? I really like Be the One. It sounds more serious to me, which is nice for setting the tone, but I hear a lot of people say it sounds like a magical girl theme, which is killing my buzz. I'm gonna have to agree with everybody.
Yeah, gonna have to go with the everyone on that.
It sounds like a magical girl theme song, if I had to pinpoint it was.
I could picture a season of Pretty Cure happening behind Be the One.
Yeah. Sorry, Don Piantis.
Sorry, we're going to have to go with the rest.
Questions. Here you go, Jeff. Questions as tribute.
What?
Give me tribute. 1. Somehow the final boss got demoted to Monster of the Week. You guys will probably be talking about plot contrivances for Game Deus. After hearing this week's podcast episode about wasted plot thread for the reset, if you guys knew the show would last for 45 episodes and you were in charge, what earlier episodes would you cut out to give more time for newer episodes to flesh out so that they don't get resolved instantly in the next episode?
I don't think because it's, well, first of all, it's very difficult to remember how many, 40 weeks ago, what exact episodes I'd cut out, but I would probably, I don't think I'd cut any episodes as much as I'd just keep shit going for more. I'd keep the plot about Kamen Rider Chronicle, the game, to have the actual game and the players be a little more in the forefront instead of having them be a background thing, an episodic thing. I'd probably...
This isn't the question at all.
Well, I'm just saying what I'd change earlier on.
The Kamen Rider Chronicle stuff didn't get introduced until halfway through the show.
You know what, Jeff?
I'm just trying to help you.
I'm sure there's some episodes that can be trimmed, but coming up with actual individual ones, I don't know.
Yeah, that is a really difficult question.
Every Rider show, 50 episodes or so, could use some trimming. And that's the truth.
I'm sure there are plot lines that could be sort of dropped because they didn't go anywhere.
Kiria. But that is, again, not an earlier episode. I mean, the Kirio thing where he comes back and is evil.
Yes, that could all be dropped. That's completely pointless. But even that was 2 episodes?
2 episodes, yeah.
That's the thing. The show has moved lightning fast because they resolve every problem in an episode.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good show still, but that's just a weak thread throughout it.
Yeah.
Sorry that didn't answer your question. We're 0 for 2 here.
That was a totally limp answer.
Question number 2. I know Amazon Alpha was an homage to the original Amazon, but do you think there should be more Kamen Rider masks with jaws? They've been mostly flat mouthpieces. Also, do you guys think it was a missed opportunity for Alpha not to open his jaws like gills?
Yes.
Yes.
Also, I love Jaws. They worked great on Gaim, and I'm totally open to them having more Jaws in the future, grasshopper mouths and shit on the front.
Yeah. That's Kamen Rider to me, because when I think of Kamen Rider, I think of the originals.
Yeah.
And having bug jaws. And there's something supremely unsettling about a mask's jaws opening up by themselves and there being nothing inside. I love it.
Yeah.
It was a huge missed opportunity. Thanks, Don Piantis.
Yeah.
P.S. I'll be in Japan for a while and probably can't listen to your podcast or use the internet much, but I can't wait to watch JoJo in live action and the Ex-Aid movie, which I hear takes place a year after the show ends. Weird.
Yes, that's what I found out too last week when someone told me.
Shouldn't that have been in the news? Don Piantis also writes in again to bring up a good point that I wanted to touch on, but forgot during the actual podcast. He said, dudes, I forgot to mention in my email, but by 2019 there's going to be a new Emperor of Japan, which correlates to the different eras like Heisei and Showa. I guess they usually assign new emperors when the current ones die, but they're doing it while this one's still alive. But man, new rider and a new era. Not a big difference, but interesting expectations set.
I didn't realize that, because I heard the Emperor was talking about abdicating, but I didn't realize he had actually set a date yet.
I mean, that is an email from a person on the internet. Not that I don't trust you, Don Piantis.
I'll do some fact-finding.
Who knows? But that's going to be nuts, right? We've officially watched an entire era of
I feel like
Kamen Rider.
I feel like there's not going to be... I wish Toei would, for some fucking reason, be like, okay, now it's time for a huge style shift. But
the only reason there was a style shift before is because there was 10 years without a Rider series.
A decade's difference. Sentai doesn't have nearly the same. It's very gradual because it was going on the whole time. I think it would be hilarious, though, if they were like, well, with the new Emperor, we have to fucking do something really weird this year. That's how it's gotta be.
That'd be amazing. Thanks for writing in about that, though. I was going to talk about it in the podcast at some point, but I kept forgetting.
Yeah, we have touched on the Emperor abdicating a couple times, but...
Our last email is from Onua,
Okay.
who says, "Hey Jeff and Liam, I hope you're doing well, and Liam's taste improvement therapy is working."
I stopped going to that, actually.
We can all tell.
They kept giving me teaspoons of mustard. I couldn't handle it anymore.
You just admitted that it would be a taste improvement if you liked mustard.
It was, Jeff, sometimes I say
broke
these
down
things
the
called
joke.
jokes.
I broke down the joke and found the truth hidden behind
Shut your
it, Liam.
shit.
There was fucking... You can't hide it from everybody forever.
Yeah, you're right. Within every joke lies a grain of mustard seed, so...
A grain... Oh, fuck, I was gonna say that! Anyway.
You thought I was... Yeah. Beat you to it.
I share your disappointment in the news that true ending takes place after the show ends. A few weeks ago, I would have bet real money on it being an alternate timeline where Cronus didn't use reset. But I guess I was just being overly optimistic. That was my guess.
That's
is what it
shame.
was. It sucks that's not what it is.
That's a perfect opportunity.
My question to you is, with only 2 actual story episodes of Ex-Aid left and however many months until we Baka Gaijin can see the true ending, do you think it can still have a satisfying ending? Keep up the good work, and please stop eating mustard. They literally use that shit for chemical warfare.
Thank you.
I believe that's a different mustard.
Pretty sure that's been outlawed by the Geneva Convention.
Yeah.
Because it tastes
Mustard
so fucking bad.
sandwiches have been outlawed
Yeah.
by the Geneva Convention.
You can't send that shit to the troops anymore. They won't eat it.
You are the dumbest fucker.
They may be hungry,
I've
but they got
ever met.
standards. God damn it.
Like you're like a Hitler. You know that?
You're
You're
like-
like a Hitler.
Like one of the many Hitlers.
Yes, that is you.
So okay.
You're not like an Adolf Hitler. You're
No.
like a Joseph Hitler, like his third cousin.
I think Ex-Aid will have a satisfying conclusion. I don't think I think with movies they always try to build them up as more than they are in the marketing.
Yeah, it's
There
not
was, like-
going to be a real true ending.
Like right now what they're saying is like the show's ending, that's fucking bullshit. What you really want for the real ending is this movie, but it's just going to be some shit about ninjas. It's not going to matter to the story of the
No.
show at all.
Not really.
That's what I'm going to throw my chips in on.
I think the show is going to have a more satisfying ending than Drive did. I
Yeah?
just don't. The only satisfying part of Drive's ending was the Gold Drive bit with Mock.
What about the final fight with Drive and Heart in the
That was bullshit.
in the styrofoam rubble? I liked that scene.
That was bullshit.
You're bullshit. I thought that was a
I
good
didn't
scene.
like it that much. I thought it was... That scene was the mustard of scenes.
I think you're the mustard of people.
I love mustard!
Fuck off.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You're shit.
It's the best condiment.
Nope.
How do you feel about horseradish?
Last time I had horseradish was so long ago, I don't actually remember what it tastes like.
It's good stuff.
I'm not gonna believe you.
I knew you wouldn't. I fucking knew it. God damn you, Joe Hitler. I feel like it's gonna have a more satisfying ending than... Man, if Giga Beetle actually chose this episode to listen to first, he's fucking done with this.
Star Trek.
Wiping hands clean, out. But,
Are you about to mention fucking Star Trek on this podcast?
no, I'm not about to mention Star Trek. I'm just saying this episode was awful.
Okay. Okay.
I feel like it's going to have a more satisfying ending than Drive, because Drive was an anticlimax with a robot.
I didn't like the
But I
robot.
don't think it's going to be super satisfying.
We'll see. They could pull one out.
If they do, I'll be impressed.
The writing
I
in
really
Ex-Aid
will.
has been pretty good, with a few pitfalls.
Yeah, like I have harped too much on the big through-line problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
but
that's that
it's
problem.
still been good writing.
Yeah.
Throughout almost all of it, so... Here's hoping.
Yeah.
And that's all for emails, and that's all for the podcast. If you'd like your email read out loud by us, two trained professionals on the air, you could send it to riderclubradio@gmail.com.
And if you'd like a tweet read by us, two trained amateurs on Twitter, send us a twit. Follow us on Twitter. That's what I was trying to say. @RiderClubRadio.
Send a twit.
Send us a twit. I don't know, we already have two, but...
Liam's sitting next to a mirror.
Oh, fuck off.
Thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
Bye.